got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar signs. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, double nine. Got it in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley alongside, we got Quinn Pushkar back in the booth. We got to bump CJ out of here. This CJ is out. This CJ is in. We have Tracy Varela, we have CJ Schroeds, and the one and the only Mr. Rob Mush. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good.
Doing great.
Great.
Love hearing that. Quinn, how are you?
I'm great. Tired. Great.
Yeah, you look tired, brother. You look tired. Long weekend of basketball, I'm sure. We want to thank everybody for staying patient with us yesterday. No power hour, obviously, but we gave way to third and fourth and fifth and sixth graders here in East Palestine that were playing at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which I thought was pretty awesome. I mean, think about some of those really terrible field trips that we had in our youth, Rob and Quinn and even CJ. Trey, you're not there yet. You don't get to speak on this because you're still a senior in high school. What was the worst field trip you've ever had in school? Like the one you look and you just go, oh, I would rather be in school. Rob?
I honestly, I don't think I can remember any. I think I was, oh my God. I seriously can't remember any field trips.
Was there a good
That's
one
not
that
my
you
fault,
liked?
though. I'm trying to think. What were those things called when you got to come back to me? I seriously can't even remember any field trips.
No worries. Quinn, was there a bad field trip or a good field trip that stands out to you?
Yeah, we had some environmental class, and we took a trip to some field for flowers and stuff, and I didn't give two shits about it. So I was just great. Patch of flowers. I cut my backyard the same. I didn't care. It was the worst experience of my life. And I'm allergic to all that stuff. So, like,
did you just stay on the bus?
I wanted to. I really wanted to.
I just have this vision in my head of you with your legs up from one side of the bus to the other, just on your phone or whatever you had at the time.
Trip to look at flowers. It's so stupid.
Would you rather have stayed in school?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Jeez, oh man. CJ, how about you?
When I was a senior in high school, I was in the orchestra throughout high school, so I played the string bass. And we took a trip to Pittsburgh to play. I don't even remember where it was, but we were playing in front of a big audience. That part was cool. The rough part was getting everything there. If you don't know what a string bass, it's the biggest stringed instrument.
Yeah.
So that thing is a pain to haul, and you're hauling it all the way from Beaver down to Pittsburgh, right? Worst part was I had to miss baseball practice because of it. So I was upset the entire time. It was cool being able to play in front of everybody, but that part sucked.
All right, we're going to go to you, Trey. What's the best or worst field trip you've been on in school?
So I don't know if you count these as field trips, but going to Ysn, you have to go on a retreat a year.
Okay.
And I would have to say that these are the most miserable experiences I've ever. The one was, I think there was a portion where you had to sit there for an hour and say nothing. It was supposed to be like finding your inner. It's a bunch of crap, but it's
you haven't graduated yet. Be careful.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. I already did it. It's fine. I already did mine for this year. It's okay. We're past it. Doesn't matter. Nobody likes to do it. Everybody knows that it's not a fun thing to do. You just kind of have to do it. It's a graduation requirement. So I'd have to say those. They're terrible.
All right, so mine is I was also in the band, like, what is it, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I think, something like that. So we went to the Powers Auditorium, and I think it's been renamed since then. But I have this deadly fear, like terrible, terrible fear of high ceilings. So they trot us down all the way into Powers Auditorium in the front row. And everybody's looking up, and I'm right now in my mind, by the way, my head is freaking out because I can see the ceiling, and I'm like grasping onto my chair right now because I hate them. So everybody's like, "Oh, look at the beautiful ceiling! Look at it!" And I'm sitting there at 6th grade level, just telling you, I'm holding onto my chair like it's gonna orbit into space. Like I'm terrified, hated it, and they're playing the entire time, and I'm just looking straight ahead of me, trying not to be touched or moved or anything like that. So that wasn't fun for me. Even yesterday at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, they put me in the second deck, and all you see is that giant scoreboard. I mean, my hat, I had the YSN beanie on, and it was the knit hat. I had it down here in my eyes. So the only thing I could see was down, like terrified. And like I had my brother-in-law come up and give me a hug, and I'm sitting there like, please don't fall. Please don't fall. Because when you're nervous or scared, your legs give out. And yesterday was a great experience for those kids, but traumatic experience for me. So you're welcome, EPYSA. I put my entire mental health on the line for you. Rob, we're back to you.
The only one I can honestly remember as a kid is probably the planetarium.
Oh, is that the one with the stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
I think it's down at YSU or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't care. I mean, either way, it's the only thing I was really focusing on was whose lunch I was going to be stealing during lunch, and that was about it. The rest of it was just a waste for me.
O'Doyle rules.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to our Would You Rather, brought to you by Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Rob, take it away.
All right. Would you rather always say what you're thinking or never be able to speak again?
Oh, this is 2 in a row for you. These are big ones. These are dandies. Let's start with you, Quinn.
That's tough. I don't know.
You don't speak a whole lot anyway, so.
Yeah, probably always say what I'm thinking then, because why not? I mean, why not?
What about you, Trey?
It's fitting that this question was asked as I just talked about silent retreats, so I'm going to go with always saying what I'm thinking because never again.
All right, Siege?
Yeah, say what I'm thinking. I can't not be able to talk just as far as this goes. It's kind of my profession, so.
Amo says, always say what I'm thinking. Easy. All right. Rob, how about you?
Well, I mean, it's not terribly easy. I mean, there's a few times where you're going to let that thought come out of your mouth, and you're either, 1, going to be embarrassed, 2, get your ass kicked, or 3, never want to be around that person again. So it's not easy. But, I mean, I couldn't imagine not talking. So, and on top of that, I'm not too worried about, like Yeah, I mean, I would be worried myself if my thoughts could actually come out. It would be very intimidating for me because I couldn't imagine the backlash. So, but I'm gonna have to deal with it. I couldn't imagine not talking again. So I gotta
I
go
think
with
I think I need to say stay quiet. I think I need to be the guy that is just never able to talk again. Rob, I already do that. Ask my wife. There it is. I would pick not to talk if I could, but I don't think that we'd be able to do it on YSN unless I learned sign language, and I only know a couple signs. So I'm gonna go with say what I'm thinking. So I think it's a. Wait a minute, is that a clean sweep?
Yeah.
You know what that means?
Sweep around your front door before you try to sweep around mine. Now this is what you do.
What was that?
It's a bunch of
that was a
Beethoven.
sweep.
It's a sweep. You'll get it whenever we do. Hopefully, we have some sweeps this week when we do picks. But every time that we have sweeps, we bring up Jeff Bezos, and it's a different one for every time. So
It's beautiful.
and we also get copyright claims by YouTube. So thanks, YouTube. Appreciate it. All 9 seconds of that clip, I'll get an email at 4:52 in the morning tomorrow, I'm sure. So thanks again, YouTube. All right, guys, lots to talk about. We didn't get a chance to talk yesterday about some of these games over the weekend. I'd like to start off. We talked about Crestview soccer. Before the weekend, obviously in a state championship, they lose 4-2 in final. They tied it all back up. They were down 2. I want to say it was 2-0, if I'm not mistaken, and they came back and tied it up and then lost the lead for good. How much, even a state runner-up trophy, and how much does that help your program? I know we talked about from a community standpoint, going to a state championship game gets everybody excited, and winning a state championship helps your program. Do you think it's the same for a state runner-up? And do you have to go through the stages almost of depression? You know what I mean? Like getting to acceptance in order to get back in it? Or are you immediately ready to fight and get back into that game? How long? I'm asking a ton of questions here. Let's start from the beginning. Do you think a state runner-up helps your cause in growing your program? Quinn?
Yeah, it helps your cause. I mean, that's something you hold your hat on as a program as it is. I mean, because I mean, how many teams actually get that far as it is, let alone
14
in our area?
Yeah, 14.
So,
I guess.
I think it is. I think it's something definitely to build upon.
Trey?
I think that it does wonders for just opening up people's eyes. I think that, if you're a school that hasn't had a lot of success in a while, to get that far, I think it helps start to build up a name. I think that the biggest thing that you can do in this area as a high school is build up a name for sports. And the way you do that is to go far into these tournaments and make it to state. So even if you don't win it, the fact that you got there, it proves to people that you have a program that is being worked on and is starting to make strides. So I think it helps.
Is it the JFK effect where, getting to the state championship in one sport can help you get in, motivate you in the other sports as well? CJ?
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe, but I agree with everyone that so far that getting to a state championship is so crucial for any program. I coach at Beaver. I'm a baseball coach. My second year coaching in 2019, we won the Whip Eels and we made it to the state championship, and we ended up losing. So as far as stage of depression, I was wrecked for about 2 weeks. I was devastated that we lost that game. But for that group, they were all seniors, and they had not really succeeded up until that point. So that's, for them, that's something they get to talk about whenever they're old and, are going to their, high school reunions. They get to talk, hey, back in our senior year, we made it to the state championship. That never happened. I think it happened 3 times in school history. So that's a rich school. So,
Rob, what do you think?
I think the lasting effects are going to be more detrimental to the senior class. They got that close and they smelled it, so they're going to have to deal with that for a while. I think the juniors and the underclassmen, they're going to be able to use that and possibly come back next year a little bit stronger and a little bit more hungrier. The thing about a state championship, regardless of the sport, you're hearing about it. And I can tell you right now that a lot more people in this area had no idea what was going on with Crestview soccer compared to now. And now you have that many more people that actually are aware of what is going on and how, like we talked about this before on the show, and I think Paul said it one time, it's basically the way that it all comes together with it's a trickle down effect. And so once you get here, then everybody else is over here. And then all of a sudden you have not just that community, you have multiple communities hanging on to this local program, seeing how far they can get. So, I mean, me personally, I can't imagine saying anything bad about a state run that fell one game short. So that's my take on it.
How long does it take to make this loss into a celebration? You know what I mean? Like the parents almost immediately celebrate it because they understand. But like when you're on the pitch or when you're on the field or you're on the court, it takes a minute to really evaluate and kind of look at it in perspective of how far you've come because you fell one game short of your ultimate goal. How long would you give, if you're the coach or you're a player, how long would you give yourself to kind of go from frustration to celebration, Rob?
Well, the thing is, too, keep in mind, parents, the supportive, let's call it just the supportive staff, could be anybody, could be a coach, principal, whatever, uncle, aunt. The thing is, we have to say that. As soon as a kid's program loses any type of championship run, everybody's immediate reaction is going to always be, well, hey, they had one hell of a season.
Yep.
Like, hats off to them, because they have to say that. What else are you going to say? You guys suck. I can't believe you missed by one game. Nobody's going to say that. So you have to say that, and everybody's always, those words are going to always come out of everybody's mouth, and they should. I mean, my take on it is this. I don't like to beat a dead horse. I'm not going to say anything to those kids at first. When they're coming off the field, I'm like, all right, man, let's go. We'll talk about this later on. Because here's the thing. Me personally, I know how I would feel. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that crap about, oh, hey, you had a good season. Because me personally, what I'm thinking, you think I give two S's about that season? We just lost a championship game. I don't want to hear you politically correct crap right now. Let me go. So, realistically, if I'm a coach, I give them the weekend. We'll talk about it in the middle of the next week. Definitely not on Monday, though.
Sigler says the state championship is so intangible for many to make it there and celebrate may take a bit to set in. You agree with that, Siege?
Yeah, I would. When we lost, I mean, we celebrated for the most part on the bus ride. I mean,
yeah.
We were upset that we lost, but it was different because it was such a senior heavy class. The entire team was seniors. I'm not joking. We had 14 seniors.
Wow.
And to that point, they hadn't won anything. So we celebrated on the bus ride. We were upset that we lost. Me personally, I was devastated. I was a wreck for a while, but you can't show that, right? I was happy that we got there. It was the best thing that happened to Beaver baseball's program since probably for the last decade or so. But I mean that it was such a great accomplishment, us getting there. I was happy we got there.
Did you, at any point in that journey, did you realize that you were kind of playing with house money and every win was just a cherry on top?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. When we made the playoffs, we didn't really know any of the other teams that we were facing against because we just never played them. But when we got there, we dominated teams. Like, it was crazy. Our pitching staff was impeccable. Like, everything just clicked. And when we got rolling in playoffs, we thought to ourselves, man, we really are the best team around here. So, eventually, reality kind of sets in, but
I like it. Trey, you've been on some really good teams in your short time span here on God's Green Earth. Talk to me about when you've been in championship games, and I'm sure you've been on the wrong side of the scoreboard in a championship game. How long do you let yourself go before you celebrate what you and your teammates have done for that year?
So I think that if you're a senior, obviously it's going to last a lot more than if you're an underclassman or if you're a junior, because like Rob said, you can't really get that back. I mean, unless you're going to play college, there's no really kind of redemption after that. That's kind of like the final chapter. So it definitely lasts longer for seniors who lost in the state championship game. But from some point of view of somebody who is a junior or younger, I think it's the ultimate motivator. I think losing in the state championship game motivates somebody way more than a team that missed the playoffs. It makes you work just that much more, that extra rep when you're on the bench or when you're lifting or when you're throwing, that extra bit of effort. That's when that sets in. So I think it could be a good thing and a bad thing.
So in some of those teams, you've been an underclassman from a standpoint of a freshman or a sophomore. Do you like go up to the plate or go to the mound or even stand in the dugout or the bullpen and you just kind of look around and you go, just take it in? Because a lot of times the underclassmen don't have a huge role in how the game is going to be played out. Do you take it in? Like, do you think that these Crestview soccer players, a lot of them played, don't get me wrong, but there's some on the sidelines, you just kind of looking around like really enjoying that moment as it's happening, because I think they get the chance to, whereas the seniors and the players that are on the field don't really have that chance because you're so focused on the task at hand.
The way it was described to me was, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is remember how it feels to get here, but when you come up this short, remember how it feels to come up this short.
Ooh.
So use both ends of it. It helps you not only in life, but if you do have those extra years, it'll help you then too. So yeah, make sure you know how you feel both ways, because they can both be used to motivate.
I like that. Quinn, what's your theory on this? I mean, getting so close but yet so far away from the ultimate goal. When do you celebrate?
Usually about a week after. I mean, I've never been that close to be a state semifinalist. I'm not that good at anything, but yeah, usually about a week after, I would say. Anything before just pisses me off, and anything after a week, I just don't care at that point.
So if you were in a state championship, the bus ride home would be silent.
Yes, 100%.
Oh my gosh. Making notes not to play for Quinn for a state championship. It's interesting. I think there's a bunch of different theories to this. I think everybody's touched on this. To be a senior and be in a state championship and to be that close, like, you didn't have any more games after that. You know what I mean? I think you'd be more bummed out if you lost in a regional final or something like that where you expected to win. But if you're in the state championship, a lot of times you're playing teams you have no idea about, like zero. Haven't heard of them, or you have, and obviously you've never put yourself in that place a lot of times. Crestview kind of snuck up on everybody. But now you look at it and all the support that they've had, I think they have all the tools to be a stellar program year in and year out, a perennial powerhouse like a Howland. And you look at the Moonies of the world and Ursuline. I mean, they got past Ursuline, and a lot of people thought that Ursuline was going to put their foot down on them. It's the first Columbiana County school to ever do what they did. So we're all proud of them here naturally. Not to go into what Rob said, but it's a celebration. There's only 7 champions, in the state at the end of the day in your sport. In Ohio, at least. This is like 4, right? Because 7's in football. So there's only 4 champions. So, and they were D3, so they're even less. So there's only 4 champions. So to be part of that last 8, the Elite 8, that's pretty special. Let's get to some of our comments right here. Mr. Howard says, best experience, my wife was whining. I think he said winning a softball state championship for Canfield back in 2008. Don't want to say she was whining. Open enrollment has leveled the playing field. Quinn, I mean, I know you and I have had this conversation. Do you think open enrollment has leveled the playing field?
To an extent, it has. It depends on where you're at. I mean, let's be honest here. We're not exactly getting world beaters down in Lisbon that, open enroll down to us to put us at a state title. So I mean, it depends on where you're at, and I think it could help. In the end of the day, it could help. I mean, there's bound to be somewhere out there that has an open enrollment that has helped them get to the state title.
I know Trey kind of went, eh.
Well,
Do you think it helped?
my counter to that would be a lot of the times you're getting guys that are going in as freshmen to high schools are going to go there anyway. They're not going to go there because of a program most of the time. So I would say that most of the time you're getting people to transfer to open enrollment schools because they're not getting playing time at the school that they're already at. And there's the OHSAA rules, the transfer rules are pretty harsh. You obviously have to sit out half your season, the season that you do transfer. So I think that kind of counteracts some of the schools that are open enrollment because most of the time you're getting kids that are leaving because they haven't either enjoyed their sports program or they're not getting enough playing time. So I think that there's kind of a counteraction to that.
Jeff Howard is citing for certain schools. Yes, look at South Range. It's funny. Everybody picks on South Range for that stuff. Who dominates now? I mean, I guess he's making reference to Springfield. I think it could go both ways. I mean, sometimes you get open enrollment, and naturally you're going to go from D6 to D5 or D7 to D6, and you're not going to be as competitive as you should be. Now, a lot of people are looking at this open enrollment as just sports. It's not just sports. I mean, you look at South Range; they're top 50 in the state for their academics. So let's not just pretend that everybody out there is going to play baseball or basketball or football or softball or you name it. These kids want these parents want a good education, a strong education for their kids, and there's a lot to choose from in this valley. But if you can get in at a top 50, you're probably going to get in. You're going to push for it. I mean, it's the difference between, a $20,000 scholarship and a $500 scholarship in some scenarios. So, I'm tired of the open enrollment argument, and I'm really tired of some teams getting picked on for being schools that are exciting to go to, that are attractive, Like at the end of the day, like if you're in the store and there's a really nice shirt and there's a really ugly shirt and they're the same price, which one are you going to take? Which one are you going to pick? That's the difference. To me, that's open enrollment is you got to look out for your best interests. So, do I think it's even the field? I don't because I think parochials will always have the leg up for one reason or another. They can get to kids earlier and families earlier usually than schools, and schools, especially with open enrollment, change drastically from year to year. You've seen kids transfer from school to school to school. So it's to me it's always interesting, but parochials seem to, for the most part, always pull from one school or another school. And forgive me, Trey, you can help me out with this. For Ursuline, there's a feeder school, correct?
Yeah. So the feeder schools are usually like the smaller Catholic schools, like St. Charles, St. Christine's. There's a couple different ones that either feed into Mooney or Ursuline, more commonly Ursuline. So, yeah, there's definitely a couple feeder schools.
Jeff says open enrollment Huts, Columbiana. They'd be better competing for D4 basketball. I'm gonna say means Hertz, Columbiana. I don't know. I'm sure it does, but I know that Columbiana has open enrollment as well. I know there's kids from here that go there and from Crestview that go there and vice versa, both ways. I mean, most of the time I like to think it's an even swap. I know that's not the case, but again, life is about selling. And Rob, you know this. You're a business owner. You have to sell your business, and schools and churches, and I don't care what anybody says. Everything's a business nowadays, and everything's a brand. So, are you buying into the open enrollment is leveling everything?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the riffraff that comes with open enrollment in certain areas, we wouldn't have an issue with open enrollment, period. Open enrollment is set up to basically benefit whatever school district is offering that to whatever person. But the problem is when Austintown had a big problem with this a few years back, even with the superintendent, the parents wanted him gone, out of just because of open enrollment. It helps certain schools, it hurts others. I mean, it just goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, the open enrollment idea is to basically have your kid in whatever area you are, because it almost takes away from the whole regional aspect of whatever you want to talk about. And it says, here, you go over here instead, and we're going to improve your education, possibly get you into sports. We'll see what happens, whatever. But again, with open enrollment, if there's any kind of riffraff that comes with it, you're going to get a ton of pushback. I don't care where you're at, and parents are going to always have something to say about it. And that's it.
I'm agreed. CJ, do you like open enrollment or no?
I don't know. I've never really thought about open enrollment because in Pennsylvania we don't have that.
That's right.
So I would agree that it probably just depends on the school. That you add more kids, you're going to brace yourself up. Maybe you'll face your better competition, might hurt you. The one school I know in Pennsylvania back home, Aliquippa, in football, is king. I mean, and they're a single A school. So Beaver is a triple or quad A, Aliquippa single A, and they voluntarily play up just to play better competition. They still win. So for them, it doesn't matter. They can beat anybody. So I think if you have the right kids, it shouldn't matter too much. But
the quips. Oh. We're getting a lot of PA on this edition of the Power Hour, thanks to CJ Schroeder.
That's what I know.
I know, buddy. I know. We're going to take a break. When we come back, plenty to still talk about, including how our local teams did over the weekend. And we will be back to talk about that right after this break right here on the Ysn Power Hour.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense, to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-res futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back to the Ysn Power Hour. We're all joined here on a Tuesday. Let's talk about Friday and the games that were in our Valley, guys. A lot of good ones. Some teams saying goodnight and some teams moving on. One of those teams that moved on, Trey, the Ursuline Fighting Irish. Talk to me about that game and the excitement around the school today.
So, first, I just want to say that, I feel like I can never watch an Ursuline game without, my heart going a million miles an hour. They definitely have something for the theatrics because it always comes down to a final play, a final stop. I mean, you look at the last 2 minutes of that game. I mean, Glenville's driving all the way down the field. They get to the goal line. It's first and goal. Urson hasn't been able to stop them pretty much all game around that area, and they get 4 straight stops on the goal line. And then Brady throws an 80-yard touchdown pass, and the game's over just like that. I mean, that Glenville team was very, 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 very skilled. And when I was talking to the players today that are on the team, they said that they felt like that quarterback was the most physical and athletically gifted quarterback that they probably had faced all year. They definitely felt like he was wearing them down in the third and fourth quarter. I mean, just you could see how big he was. And they had a couple really big guys on that line, too. I mean, they said that the left tackle was 6'6". The other O-lineman, I believe it was the right guard, the left guard, he was 6'4", both over 300 pounds. I mean, they had some absolute animals on that team. And we were able to sneak by them. So it was a good win, and there's a lot of confidence going into Friday. They felt like they had played the best team that they had played all year, and they're just going to take that momentum and keep moving forward. There's a lot of energy.
That's incredible. And it's funny you say that because I feel like that was the first week really that anybody saw Ursuline as an underdog, truly as an underdog. And they came out on top. They went in as an underdog. They felt like the underdog. They fought like the underdog, and they came out on the victory side of things. And now you play a West Branch team, which, these two teams tied it up last year. West Branch with an impressive victory last week. Again, they just continue to do whatever it takes to get the W. And they're not getting a whole bunch of love from a whole lot of the state when it comes to this. And we'll go in again as the underdog, presumably, to a very tough Ursuline team. Trey, do you think there's a little bit of oversight against West Branch this week, possibly?
I definitely think it's possible. I would say that I feel like the reason that West Branch isn't getting as much love is probably because of their schedule. If you compare schedules, Ursuline's schedule versus their schedule, I think it's fair to say that Ursuline's had the tougher teams. I mean, they played up the most. They played better, just overall better teams. I don't think that it would be smart to overlook West Branch. I mean, they're not undefeated for no reason. That doesn't happen by accident. And I asked some of the guys today about DeShields, about Drew. I said, what scares you about him? They said that he kind of reminds them of the Salem quarterback, of Johnston. Jackson Johnson. Yeah, he said that that's who it kind of reminds them of. But they said that they feel confident and they feel like there's nothing that they haven't seen before when they go out there. So, I mean, they seem really ready. I mean, this is the most excited I've seen the football program in a long time, ever since I've been there, at least.
I think this is going to be a great game. Obviously, these two teams squaring up on Friday. It'll be at South Range High School, so it's going to be exciting. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of YSN representation at Raider Stadium, I'm sure. The game that I was really interested in, I was there, was Canfield and Chardon, and that game happened at Girard. The first drive, Chardon got shut down by Canfield, and I got to admit, I got really excited because I thought Canfield had all the makings to walk away with this one and shock the world. But you look at Chardon, they passed 2 times the entire game, both of them coming on one drive in the first half, and they just don't give up the football. 4 yards every carry, no matter what. 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards. Then they break one off for 31. Then they break one off for 40. And I mean, it's incredible. And when you're going up against a monster like that, everybody says, and this is the one I hate. I know everybody has their one line that they absolutely just makes them cringe. I hate when people say this team has to play a perfect game, because there is no such thing as a perfect game, to me at least. It's unless you're playing baseball. And even then, those are few and far between. You had to play a great game. And, Coach Pavlansky said we didn't play well enough to win, or paraphrased, that we didn't play well enough to win tonight. And Chardon's a great team that I fully expect to win the D3 crown again like they did last year. They're just that good. And their quarterback is outstanding. Their running backs, they can run from the power eye. They can split you out. I mean, they do everything well. And I know, Quinn, as a Canfield grad, it was tough for you to swallow, but you kind of saw Chardon coming down the pike.
Yeah, I mean, I knew going into it that Canfield was going to have to play really well. And I thought they had all that momentum until that fumble in the second half, the early third quarter fumble. I was expecting, Brock to go down the field that drive, put some points on the board and really kind of take over. But, they fumbled, and Chardon just does what Chardon does. That's why they're the defending state champion.
Then we go to Saturday night. CJ, JFK, they're good.
Oh yeah, are they good? And that was the first time I got to see them. And I'd been hearing just over the last couple of weeks, oh, this team's real good. Historically, they're pretty good. That's probably you can't say perfect, right? But that's almost as perfect game as you could probably draw up if you're JFK. Defensively, they were the best. That was the best defensive front I've seen all year. Their physicality, they were bigger. than the opposing team, than Norwalk. Just as far as defense goes, that was one of the best games I'd seen all year. Offensively, they got playmakers, and Antoine Brown is a difference maker. They have their quarterback, Caleb Hadley, is 6'2", 220, and he's a sophomore.
Being looked at by the Yankees, by the way.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, that just JFK, that was a terrific game, and they really gave it to Norwalk.
I was excited to see you get to sit in on that. Everybody that watches JFK for the first time walks away just impressed, because you hear about it and you go, okay, they've only got what, 22, 23 guys on the roster, and you sit there and you go, there's no way. Like, they're going to meet their maker, and they're going to meet the deli slicer here before too long, and all of a sudden you see them play, and they are the deli slicer. They are just
it's right. Once I saw the size of their players, I was like, wow, it's impressive what the guys they have. Just they looked bigger than their opponent, and sometimes it just doesn't work, but it played. It really played.
And Norwalk doesn't have a small team, if I remember right. They're pretty big.
They were about the same size as far as play. I'm talking about like physicality.
No, I'm talking about like how many people on the roster.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It was about the same size, I thought.
Okay. Usually, I think it was last year that they stretched out the entire box on the sideline, and JFK was just all bunched up in the middle. It just looked like it was crazy. Rob, from your standpoint, which games did you really walk away impressed or scratching your head?
The difference was the score with Kirtland and Garrettsville. Yeah, I mean, Kirtland is just clearly that good of a football team because everybody was, you could have picked either way in that game, and just like the rest of football this weekend, nobody predicted these scores, and I certainly did not think Kirtland was going to go up and finish that game 25-7, even as good as they are, just because of how good Garrettsville is and how we talked that team up. Other than that, I was trying to look to the only other game I think that kind of surprised me a little bit was probably, and I shouldn't say surprised, but I thought LeBray would have pulled that off. But
yeah,
other than that, I think everything went pretty much according to plan.
I know there's a few people out there. One of our very own Billy Mack said that the referees might have had a hand in some of the calls, I guess, in that LeBray game. So I didn't get to see it. You hate to think that that's the case, but Billy usually doesn't call the referees to the carpet. Usually it's just Baker Mayfield. So it was interesting to see that happen because he wouldn't say that if there wasn't something. And he was actually at a wedding that night. So he was intently watching, which I thought was incredibly impressive to be able to dedicate himself to the team that he loves so much in LeBray. So kudos to you, Billy. Kudos to you on that. Amo saying that was the fewest amount of points Kirtland scored all year. And I was told that too by quite a few people, says BMAC. So very interesting. Mogador now sets up to play Springfield, and I'm just going to throw this up here for Trey, make sure he gets a good read on it. When you think about Springfield, I've heard people every week to this day tell me that this is the week that Bo can't get them to the next level. And every week, seemingly, they're wrong. And except for 1 week, that was week 1 of this football season, does Springfield have enough to get to a regional championship and get back into the Final Four? Let's start with you, Trey.
So I'll say yes. I'll say yes. Strictly because they've been there before. They've been in that scenario before. That's pretty much the only thing that gears me toward yes. I mean, watching Springfield, they're gonna do the Springfield things. He's gonna get the direct snap sometimes. He can throw it, or he'll just run right through you. So I mean, that's such a physical football team that I can't point out a reason as much as sometimes I want to point out to say, hey, that they can't make it that far because I really think that they can. So,
all right, we'll get the thoughts of Quinn with Springfield.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, like
that's all he needs to say.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, he's fine.
All right, So now let's look at South Range. South Range, a 15-12 winner on Saturday night. Wasn't the prettiest game that they've played all year. They had to dig into the bag of tricks to get them to this regional championship in a matchup with Kirtland, naturally, that they've wanted all year. Everybody says Kirtland has the advantage here. I don't like, Rob, it's funny you say that the score was something that you were kind of thrown off by. If Kirtland didn't beat Garfield by 40, in my head, they're not going to beat South Range. South Range has too many. They're too versatile. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think by any means that anybody's going to get blown out. But I think South Range, if there was a year that the Raiders were going to step up and come through on what has been the thorn in their side for so many years, this is the year because they have all the weapons. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they haven't used all their weapons yet. J.D. Krause got no looks in that game. South Range wanted to win, but they wanted to win without putting everything on tape for Kirtland to scout. So I think, again, South Range kind of was fighting a battle one-handed on Saturday night, and they came through when they had to on a double reverse pass that maybe gave the Hornets something to look at, but maybe it's just, hey, this is the tip of the iceberg. Your thoughts, Mr. Rob Mush?
I'll tell you what, man. Without knowing everything about Kirtland, I've seen South Range. I've seen what they could do to teams. I've seen what they could do to decent teams. I've seen what they could do to really good teams. I've seen what they could do to bad teams. So going off of what everybody else has said and what I've read about Kirtland, I mean, realistically, honestly, if I was picking right now, I might have to go with Kirtland just because of the simple fact that they haven't lost a game in 14 years or whatever it's been. They seriously won
50,
a game.
53 games,
50
I think?
Yeah, which is crazy, especially in high school. And, it's going to come down to the only reason I picked South Range is because of my boy Paul Munson. That's it. Other than that, I can't really, as good as South Range is, we're talking about Kirtland. So I'm going to kind of lead with my heart a little bit and believe that Dominguez, Skurpak, and Lindstrom and those kids on that wicked offense, like you're saying, DJ, maybe they held back a little bit just so they can just totally explode on Kirtland. And let's hope that's the case. Because I'll tell you right now, if that game's close, the way, South Range kept it last week, I can't see that South Range team beating a Kirtland team, even though I'm rooting for South Range like crazy. Sure.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. Whoa! Chef Betos alert in YSN HQ. I don't disagree with you. I think that, but I'm going to say the other way. I think if it's close, South Range wins. I think Kirtland has to win by 10 in order to win in convincing fashion, and because they've never played in a close game like they're going to play in South Range. And listen, I know I said it. South Range doesn't have to play a perfect game, but they do have to play their best game all year. And
easily. I
think people, but the same's true with Kirtland. I think they have to play their best game too, because showing up like they did against Garfield, no offense to Garrettsville whatsoever, that job is not going to get done if they show up like that. If they score 25 points against South Range will score 30. You don't want to get into that track meet against this team because you said it, Dominguez, you got Aiden Leone on the left side, you got Shane Lindstrom, Billy Skurpak made a ton of plays with his legs, and if there was anything that the Raiders showed, and he's shown it all year, so it doesn't really bother me, it's that Skurpak can make plays when the play is broken down. Like a truck on the side of the road, Skurpak gets out of it and runs the rest of the way. Kind of like Ricky Bobby in the last scene of Talladega Nights. Like he gets out of the car and he runs down that raceway. So I'm a big fan of South Range. That goes without saying. But I got to admit that Kirtland's going to have their hands full. And, they have some of the most cordial people ever in their sports department, their athletic department. And I'm excited for all the things that we're going to be able to do together. But the first shot was fired by us today whenever it was Kirtland saying, I am inevitable, and then us putting the South Range helmet on Iron Man and saying, I am Iron Man. And he clicks his fingers. So I'm excited. This is a game we've all wanted. Everybody's wanted all year long. and it's going to come down to it. Stigler says Lindstrom was huge Saturday night. You should have seen this play he made. Laid out, full body laid out for it on third down and pulled it in from like 30 yards away. Just an unbelievable play. Jeff says South Range has also played Niles before. Raiders have the edge in that aspect. Oh, played at Niles before. Yep. I mean, yeah, it's in the NE8. That's what they do. So 3 stadiums of YSN schools are going to be on showcase, and the only one being Marlington, the 4th game that we don't have. But again, would love to have Marlington because that facility is absolutely gorgeous. Salem, South Range, Niles, and Marlington, your homes for this weekend's action. And again, once again, you will have the Power Play Pass available, $9.99 for Friday's game and $9.99 for the 3 games on Saturday. So take advantage of that if you'd like to. So again, thank you to all that have taken part in the Power Play Pass so far. And we certainly appreciate you doing it again this week. I think that all of our local teams get through, and I'm not going to give my pick yet on West Branch and Ursuline. We'll keep that till Friday, but obviously one of them is going to get through as a regional champion there. So congratulations to whoever wins that game. All right, let's get to our Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? So before we go to that, guys, a couple of newcomers on the show, and I know you guys have seen this before, but I got to explain the rules. The rules are, there are no rules. You can put somebody on blast, you can put something on blast, you can propel something, put something on a pedestal, whatever you want to do. The floor is yours, and it gives you a chance to do what we do best, and that is talk about this stuff. So without further ado, the graphic, please. The Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, anything residential, anything electrical, you go to the official electric supplier of your sports network, our friends over at DickeyElectric.com. Quinn, start us off.
So I got 2 positive sparks. First one is for Jeff and Ackelson. Got to do the game on Saturday, the LeBray game with those 2, and getting it in a box with Jeff is always fun, nevertheless. But having Mike on the sideline and everything like that, it was cool. It was a cool experience, and getting to be with those guys, it was pretty fun. Second positive is scrimmage day. We get scrimmage here in a little bit, and I can't wait to play Waterloo and Steubenville Central Catholic and see where we're at after that one. So,
attaboy.
I got to go.
Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go to Rob, the next veteran.
Well, everything is right in the world again. We are already talking about next year in Cleveland, so I am just very thankful that, once again, my beloved Browns did not disappoint me, and we keep the momentum going as to not looking for much into the next week of the NFL.
I can't wait to talk about that with Scotty tomorrow. I don't know if Scotty's going to make it. He said he was going into traffic the last time I talked to him, so that'll be a fun show tomorrow talking about NFL. Sorry, Rob, that was a tough game to watch.
Yeah.
Not tougher than the Steelers-Lions, I will say that, because at least somebody wanted to win that game.
It was brutal.
Let's go to CJ. What do you got, buddy?
Positive spark, guys. My first time on the Power Hour, so excited about that. On Friday, when I did JFK, I got to work with Ty Bartel, so I'm starting to get to know some of the guys around YSN a bit more. So super excited.
All right, nice spark, nice first spark for you, my man. Congratulations. All right, Trey, what do you got?
So I have 2 sparks. It's also my first time on the Power Hour. I appreciate you inviting me on. It's been a blast so far. But my 2 sparks are, the first one is the Ursuline Irish football team. I'm sure everybody's shocked. Big win on Friday night. This is a team that's played well all year. And, if it wasn't for unforeseen circumstances last year, we could be coming off a state win, right? Or a state championship year right now. But because of those circumstances, that's not the case. But positive spark is that they're back to the same place that they were last year, and you could say that they're a better team. So that's my first one. The second one, I wanted to go non-local because we've been talking local so much. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers, defying everybody's expectations, including mine. They're running 3 7-footers for the most part, about 80% of the time, and this is the most fun I've had watching the Cavaliers since LeBron was in town. So I'm going to go with the Cavs as my second spark.
Respect, man. All right, I have a positive and a negative spark, and they're kind of juiced together. So bear with me here. as most of you are used to seeing this time of day, one of the guys missing from our clique here, and that's Paul Munson. Paul put his step down on Sunday, which was unfortunate for YSN because he's done so much for us over the 3 years that he's been with us. I just want to thank him publicly for all that he did for the network, that he did from behind the scenes work, the stuff that he would, working with the athletic directors, obviously with running the show here sometimes, stepping into that position. Paul had done so much for so long for us, and we wish him well in all he wants to do and all things he wants to accomplish. And I couldn't be more grateful for the 3 years that he gave us, and hopefully at some point, our paths will cross again. So Paul, if you're out there, I know you're watching, thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you, to help YSN grow. It means so much. And we forever remember, my friend. So best of luck to you in all your future endeavors, and we're excited that you really helped YSN grow over the last 3 years. So thank you very much. And why it's a positive and negative, man, listen, I'm so happy for him and some of the things he's going to be doing. And it's negative because, he's been around this place for so long. It's kind of like when a girlfriend dumps you, man. It's tough. You go through all the stages of grief and all that stuff. So best of luck, Paul. We appreciate you and everything that you brought to the table. So that's going to do it for this episode of the YSN Power Hour. Thanks to our guests, both new and the veterans. And we will see you tomorrow. Scotty joins us on an NFL version of the YSN Power Hour. We'll pick them all. You guys always invited here on the network. Until then, we say see ya and bye-bye.